Hi, I'm Jason Bellini. I'm a freelance journalist, and I've been helping out on Planet Forward. So I've had the chance to hear many people's ideas for how to solve the climate energy crisis, and I feel compelled to make my case now. I've heard some great ideas for the use of solar, wind, nuclear, carbon capture and sequestration schemes in order to solve the energy crisis, but I'm not convinced that any of those, either individually or all of them combined, are sufficient considering the magnitude of the problem that we face. I think we need to take seriously a number that comes from the U.S. Department of Energy. Between now and the year 2030, the world's demand for energy is going to rise by 50%. And as of now, non-renewables are going to supply the vast bulk of that energy. This comes at a time when many scientists are saying that it now looks like global warming may turn out to be worse and come a lot sooner than even their most dire predictions. So what I'm saying is we've got to find a breakthrough technology right now. We've got to throw a Hail Mary. I agree with Tom Friedman, who recently wrote in the New York Times that without some game changers, climate change is going to have its way with us. What are some possible game changers? Thomas Friedman visited the Lawrence Livermore labs where they're experimenting with hydrogen fusion using lasers. They won't know for a few years whether that has any possibility or not, but if it does, hey, problem solved, we can all celebrate. I wanted to see what other prospects are out there, so I went to TED.com. It's a website where great thinkers share their really big ideas, and there's some intriguing ones out there, some rather strange ones, admittedly. One of them is to use giant kites the size of 747s, put them up in the atmosphere as wind turbines. They'd send their energy back down to Earth, and the advantage of having them up there is that the wind's always blowing. Hey, maybe it's crazy enough to work. Another idea I heard about is bioengineering. This is where scientists would create plants or some type of organism that would produce fuel for us. I listened to a guy named Juan Enriquez who writes about futuristic science, and he said that we could perhaps create an organism that would convert carbon fuels into substances that would be far less harmful to the environment.
It may be to have stuff process that coal in a biological fashion as you did in agriculture.
Sounds interesting. But in case all else fails, we've got to start experimenting with geoengineering. This is where scientists literally turn down the temperature of the planet by artificial means. Scientist David Keith proposes that we inject clouds of reflective particles up into the atmosphere where they deflect sunlight, and that would help cool the planet. All right, some of these may sound like whack-ball ideas, but what I'm saying is we've got to start trying things, and we've got to start putting money into trying things. Why don't we take NASA's entire budget, $17 billion a year, and require them to put it into discovering solutions to our problems down here on Earth? Otherwise, we're like the proverbial frog sitting in a pot on the stove as the temperature is rising. And I'm convinced that the only thing that's going to stop the heat is a major breakthrough. We've got to find it, or we're going to boil. That's my case.